Hello everyone, it's time for another discussion video, and yep, we're actually doing one that's like somewhat near after the previous one. Yeah, I'm sure if you guys have noticed that generally speaking these tend to take forever to make. Well, no, making them is easy, it's just like the frequency at which I do it. Like back in the day, in like 2016 and whatnot, I would do them all the time, but times have changed, and if I don't have a topic to talk about, I won't talk about anything. I'm not just going to record a video for the sake of recording it. But anyways, so, yesterday, the day came, the day that we've all been waiting for, the day that we've all been hoping would come, and most of us knew it was gonna come eventually. In fact, in the previous discussion, I think I said that, within like 3 to 6 months, that we'll get the announcement that, hey, everything is good, everything's awesome, he's in the MCU, and, well, I did not expect them to do it this quickly. I did not expect them to do it this quickly. Like, I thought, okay, maybe like 3 to 6 months. I'm basing this off of James Gunn. The James Gunn situation, it was like, what? It was over 6 months. But for something like this, I figured it would be shorter than that. But it would still be a while from now. Like, we're not going to get any confirmation until like 2020. Was the idea. That's what I thought was going to happen, but hey, Disney and Sony proved me wrong in a good way, so props on them and everything. Although, this entire fiasco, this entire roller coaster, it's been like, what, a month? Yeah, it's been like a little over a month that this entire thing has been a thing. Like, what was it, like, yeah, like August 20th, I believe, is when the news first broke that he's out of the MCU, they couldn't reach a deal. And fast forward to September 27th, that was yesterday, at the time of recording, of course. That's when it was announced that everything was back together and everything's good and happy and everything is awesome. So that's really cool, but there are actually some interesting details. Now, of course, the first and big thing everyone had in their mind is, okay, so what exactly is the deal for? Well, from what we know, I don't have an article up right now because I can't find the right one I'm trying to find, so I'll just go off of memory. But I think most of it's correct, but don't quote me if I get something wrong. So, of course, throughout this entire fiasco, it's been going on for like a month, there's been debate over like whose fault it is, what deals have there been, what, percentage, all that stuff, right? And at first everyone thought it was Sony, then everyone started to say it was Disney, then it was Sony, then it was Disney, then it was Sony, then it was Disney. It kept going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But ultimately, after everything, the whole, it was going to be 75-25, then it was going to be 50-50, and everyone thought, nah, Disney's being way too greedy to do 50-50. Then there was like a 70-30, and then it was a nightmare, if you really think about it, how many potential deals there were. And then, like, a couple days ago, right before we got this announcement that everything's good, there were people talking about Disney buying the Spider-Man movie rights from Sony for $10 billion. I actually almost made a video on that because it was so ridiculous. But $10 billion for Spider-Man? Look, I love Spider-Man in the MCU, but he is not worth $10 billion. For comparison, Disney paid $4 billion for the entirety of Marvel. They paid $4 billion for the entirety of Lucasfilm. You really think that the movie rights, like not merchandise, not TV, no, just the movie rights to Spider-Man are worth $10 billion? No, they are not. Period. Now, I know obviously Spider-Man's really, really big, really, really influential, obviously, but all that stuff, but is it $10 billion? Maybe to a company like Disney that's literally got infinite money, basically. Maybe to them it's worth it, but I don't know, even I don't think it's worth that much. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But that whole 10 million thing doesn't matter anymore because he's back in. He's officially back in. And so, yeah, what is the deal? What was the official deal? Actually, was it Variety? Awesome. Let me go look it up real quick. I believe it was a Variety article that Sony themselves actually linked on Twitter. Yeah, like Sony, like Marvel Studios hasn't said anything. They haven't even retweeted or anything, but they did. But Sony Pictures and the official Spider-Man movie Twitter tweeted this Variety article and the title is "Spider-Man will stay in the Marvel Cinematic Universe." Okay, so let's go ahead and look on this real quick. Okay, so yeah, before the agreement between Disney and Sony was so for the movie box office, it was 95% Sony, 5% Disney. Now they've agreed on what was the initial, like originally when this entire thing went down, the original offer that Disney I think had. I don't know if it was Disney or Sony, but the original offer, which one was it actually? Let me look real quick. I want to say this is the one that Disney proposed, but I don't really know. Does it say? Does it say? Does it say? In exchange for... It doesn't say who's the one that offered the 75-25, but regardless, Sony will get 75, Disney will get 25. The merchandising rights are still all Disney. Sony still isn't getting any of that. So Disney is getting more than they did before. Basically, that's the main difference, is that Disney's getting 25 instead of 5. Aside from that, everything else is the same. Oh yeah, also Disney will be before Sony funded the entire movie. Like Homecoming and Far From Home, they funded the entire movie. This time around, it's different. Just like with the box office, also 75-25, which means Sony will put up 75% and Disney will put up 25%. So Disney actually has a financial stake in the movie this time. So that's kind of interesting. And yeah, so that's the new deal. It's the one that was talked about way at the beginning when this whole thing went down, that people said, oh, they rejected it, and that's where the whole 50-50 and 70-30 and all this other stuff happened. But no, it is 75-25 for both the box office gross itself as well as funding for the movie. So, the film has a scheduled release date of July 16th, 2021, which I believe was already set by Sony anyway, but that's the date, which is kind of a no-duh. I mean, that's what we all expected. July 2021, we all knew that's what it was going to be. Also, this deal is for 2 movies. It's for Spider-Man 3, but it's also for an additional Marvel Studios film. So, you know, across maybe like Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness or something, I don't know, but it'll be, you know, another Marvel Studios movie that he'll cross over into. So basically everything's good now. The deal has been changed a bit, but ultimately Disney and Sony came to an agreement that they could both work with, and now he is back in the MCU, and that's what matters. But we're not just gonna get him back in the MCU, because as we all knew, like during this entire fiasco, Sony was pushing the fact that, hey, we're gonna have Spider-Man and like okay, actually not in Venom, because I think it's too soon to include him in Venom, because I think it's shooting like right now, or it's gonna be shooting soon if it's not shooting already. But Morbius, oh, we're gonna have him in Morbius, we're gonna have him in these other movies, we're gonna, you know, do the Sinister Six and like all that stuff, right? And I believe like the other day, like right before, like the day before. I believe the day before this deal was announced to be rectified, they announced like a Madam Web movie. I've never heard that character before, but then again, Sony is kind of resurrecting old, like, well, maybe not old, but like, you know, like characters people haven't really heard. Like, you know, people have heard of, obviously Venom is the most well-known of all the Spider-Man movies they have in development. Morbius, I've heard of Morbius, but it's no Venom. Almost every other movie they have planned, I've barely heard of. Okay, no, Silver Sable and Black Cat I've heard of. Okay, but partly because of Spider-Man PS4, but still. But you know, Jackpot and the Madam Web thing, all you know, obviously Sony is working with what they have. But anyway, this is not confirmed. This is not 100% confirmed, but. But you know, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, let's talk about Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige put out an official statement regarding all this. He said, and I quote, "I'm thrilled that Spidey's journey in the MCU will continue, and I and all of us at Marvel Studios are very excited that we get to keep working on it," Feige said in a statement. Quote again, "Spider-Man is a powerful icon and hero whose story crosses all ages and audiences around the globe. He also and here's the big one. This is the big one right here, okay? Here we go. he also happens to be the only hero with the superpower to cross cinematic universes. So as Sony continues to develop their own Spideyverse, you never know what surprises the future might hold. That is from Kevin Feige himself. He may have just confirmed that Tom Holland can jump between the different universes whenever he wants, and that it can be, because think of it like this. You know how obviously we have the multiverse, right? It's been a thing in the MCU for a while technically, but like, you know, of course with Far From Home and all that stuff, it started to become like a big thing. Oh, multiverse, and of course the multiverse of madness is on the way, right? So multiverse is going to be a big focus of the MCU going forward, right? Well, think of it like this. Obviously, this is not confirmation on anything. He could just be, you know, saying this for the sake of, oh, well, maybe once the deal is done, he goes back to Sony or whatever. But what this sounds like to me is basically in the Marvel multiverse, as we'll call it, right? There is the MCU, which is its own universe, and then there's the Sony. Okay, this is the official name, believe it or not, if you don't know. The Sony Universe of Marvel Characters, or sorry, Sony's Universe of Marvel Characters. That's the official name for their like cinematic universe. I know everyone's called it the Venomverse, but that's like their official name is the Sony's Universe of Marvel Characters, or there's an acronym for it actually that people have started to use. It's like SMUC. Or SMUC, or I'm butchering it right now. You see it in the title of the video, but yeah, so they have a little acronym. But point is, basically, Feige has left the door open to Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, to be able to jump between different cinematic universes pretty much at will. But of course, this doesn't mean that he can go from Spider-Man 3 to Venom 2, to not Venom 2, because it's not going to be out by then. Morbius, right? Okay, how about Morbius? Or Venom 3 or whatever, right? Okay, we'll just say Venom 3 because Morbius might be a bit too late by that point. Whatever. We'll just say Venom 3, right? We'll just go with that. So yeah, he can go from Spider-Man 3 to like Venom 3 and it's super seamless. But that's not exactly how it would work, because here's how I think I don't think that would really work, because of course it can't just be that simple, right? It can't just be that, oh, he can be in both universes, right? It can't be that simple, because of course if you have MCU Spider-Man in a non-MCU movie, then to the casual audience, at least the people that, you know, don't follow all this corporate legal stuff, you know, they don't know that, okay, this is a Sony movie, this is a Marvel movie, they're in different universes, like that whole thing, right? They don't know any of that. They just see that Spider-Man is in it, Tom Holland's Spider-Man's in it, and they see the Marvel logo that says in association with Marvel at the beginning. Even though it's not Marvel Studios, but again, they're not really paying attention to that kind of stuff. They just see Tom Holland, and they think, okay, this Tom Holland's in this movie, therefore it's in the MCU. But it's obviously a lie, because it's not in the MCU. It's in the Sony Universe of Marvel. They need to come up with a better name for that. Just call it like the Sony Marvel Universe or something like that. See? Easy. Sony Marvel Universe. That's all they have to do. Just call it the Sony Marvel Universe. I'm just going to call it that for the rest of the video, because it's just a lot easier. That's so much easier, right? That's such an easier name. But I don't know why the Sony Universe Marvel character. I'll drop it. I'll drop it. Anyway, so yeah, so like how would this work? So basically, the theory that people have been going with, and something that I kind of agree with too, is basically it'll be kind of like the Marvel TV shows to like the movies. Like Marvel TV shows as in like made by Marvel TV and not Marvel Studios. Because of course the Disney Plus shows, well, all, you know, the Disney Plus shows are Marvel Studios, but Hulu, Freeform, etc., that's all Marvel TV. But they're all Marvel TV shows. You know what I mean? If you're listening to this video, you know all this stuff, so I don't have to explain it. But yeah, basically, like, how would this work? So basically, I think it'd be like that, where like, because here's the thing, Kevin Feige is not going to let Sony put whatever stuff from the MCU they want in their own movies. Oh, actually, I completely forgot this part, but we don't know this officially also, but it is speculated that the reason why this deal even happened was because Sony was like, okay, we can have the deal again, but we have to still be able to use him in our universe as well. And that's why Feige said the whole thing about he can jump across cinematic universes, because he can be in both the MCU and the Sony Marvel universe at the same time, but they still won't be exactly the same. As in, like, obviously, basically, what I'm trying to say through all this is the same thing it's kind of been for, Marvel TV, Marvel television shows from Marvel TV. Again, I don't need to explain all of this. You guys already know. It's kind of confusing if you don't really understand it, but yeah, it's basically, okay, how about this? It's like the Hulu / Netflix / Freeform / all that other stuff compared to like the Marvel Studios movies, where like they're all in the MCU, but anything that's not, but all the stuff that's made by Marvel TV is a very loose connection. I know that obviously there's been Agent Carter and stuff like that, but okay, like the non-ABC shows, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter have the most direct connection to the MCU. They've even had Feige on board at one point. And, Joss Whedon was on board at one point. They had Lady Sif and Fury and a couple, well, in the early seasons before the split between Ike Perlmutter and Kevin Feige, which is the main reason why the Marvel TV produced shows have a very loose connection to the MCU, whereas like earlier with Agent Carter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. it was more direct. Of course, now that Disney Plus is a thing, all of the Disney Plus shows, barring one, I think, is going to be Marvel Studios. If it says Marvel Studios in the logo, then it's Marvel Studios, but confusingly enough, Marvel TV is actually making a Disney Plus show, which is going to be really awkward, but we kind of talked about that already in the previous discussion. I'm getting off topic here. This is about Spider-Man, darn it. Basically, long story short, I know I'm dragging this out a long time, Spider-Man can go from the MCU to the Sony Marvel Universe, but he can't reference anything from the MCU. And vice versa. He can go from the Sony Marvel Universe to the MCU, but he can't reference anything from the Sony Marvel Universe. Basically, that's how it works. Like, he can jump between the two, but he can't reference anything from either universe. That's the theory I have going, basically. But it's still really weird because that technically means that they're in the same overarching multiverse, right? So whether they want to say it or not, in a small way, they're still technically connected because he can jump between the two. Now, will we ever see something super direct? Like, I know people have talked about, when they do Secret Wars, they can bring in Tom Hardy's Venom and stuff. And look, that's totally possible, and that'd be cool and all, but I'm not betting on that. I think it's going to be a very loose connection where Spider-Man and only Spider-Man, not Venom, not Morbius, not anything, like only Tom Holland's Spider-Man can jump between the two, but they can't reference anything from either universe. Also, I don't know what they're going to do about the costume. Maybe like a part of the agreement is, hey, we can use the MCU Spider-Man outfit in our own movies or something, because or Sony gonna make another suit specifically for the Sony universe, even though he's still gonna have his MCU outfit in the MCU universe at the same time. Again, like, we have no idea how this is all gonna pan out. This is just pure speculation, but based on what Kevin Feige says, there might actually end up being some actual connection. Maybe it'll be very vague, like I think it's going to be, or maybe it'll be more. We really don't know. We're just going to have to kind of wait and see what happens there. But that's probably the most exciting part about all of this. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's awesome that Spider-Man's back in the MCU, but we all knew it was going to happen eventually. If it didn't happen now, it would happen in a month, or 2 months, or 3 months, or 4 months. It was going to happen eventually. He was going to come back. There was no way he wasn't. But this is different, because this is something in addition to him coming back to the MCU. And it's possible, like I said, this was one of the bargaining chips that Sony had during the discussions, where, okay, you can have him back, you can use him again, but we want to be able to use him too. And honestly, if this is what's happening, if he's going to be able to cross over between the two, I'm 100% for that. I have no problems whatsoever with Tom Holland jumping between the two universes. as long as he's in the MCU, I don't have any problem with him being in the Sony Marvel universe. In fact, if anything, it makes me more interested in it, which is obviously what Sony wants. That's the whole reason why they even were going to take him in the first place. Because if they just rebooted it like Spider-Man like they've done in the past, then this would be a whole different story. But their plan was to take Tom Holland and put him in their own movies, which meant they could trick people that don't know about any of this stuff into thinking that they're part of the MCU, which is what Sony wants. That's what Sony wants. They want that association with the MCU. They want it to seem like it's in the MCU because it's been proven that the audiences only want to see MCU movies. Look at the Fox movies recently. I mean, yeah, there's Deadpool, but outside of Deadpool, the Fox movies have not done well in the past couple years. And of course, Dark Phoenix infamously bombed. It did like $200 million. It just barely broke even. It might not even have broken even because of all the marketing. So no, I don't even think it broke even. It just bombed, and Disney was very disappointed that it bombed, and that's one of the reasons why they canceled a lot of Fox. That's one of the reasons why they canceled a lot of Fox's upcoming movie slate a couple months ago. But again, different story for another time. But basically, Sony wants that association with the MCU without actually being in the MCU. And one way to do that is to have an agreement set up where Tom Holland can be in the MCU, but he can still be in the Sony movies. So they get that association from being, technically speaking, in the MCU, because it's MCU Spider-Man, but it's not. And it's not in the MCU, but it's a part of like the greater Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, maybe. Well, again, we don't know if it's going to go that far. It very well might not. It really might just be as simple as he can cross over, but they just can't mention the other movies. That's probably all it's actually going to be, but who knows? I mean, if Disney and Sony keep this thing going, and as Sony continues to build up their universe, and hey, maybe when we do get the Secret Wars, they'll have a deal where hey, we can bring like Tom Hardy's Venom or or Carnage or something, right? We can bring them into the Secret Wars. They can go from the Sony Marvel universe to the MCU. Then once that's done, they can go back, and it just works. I don't know. We have no idea, but point is, as it stands, Spider-Man's back in the MCU for at least 2 more movies, his solo movie Spider-Man 3 in July 2021, as well as one more appearance in another Marvel movie that we don't know what that's going to be yet. It's going to be Black Panther or Guardians or Fantastic Four, maybe even. We don't know. We have no idea what it's going to be, but we're just going to have to wait and see. And the potential for crossover between the Sony Marvel Universe, aka the Sony's universe of Marvel characters, and the MCU very much looks like it might be on the table, which would basically make the Sony universe and the MCU all part of the same greater multiverse. And of course the multiverse is now a thing, so who knows. But that is what we have at the moment. So yeah, so Spider-Man's back in the MCU a lot sooner than I thought he would, and we might be getting some more crossovers, so that's pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy about this. I think it's safe to say that you are all really happy about this. In the future... Oh, I just remembered something. You want to know what this also means? 2021 is going to be the most stuffed year ever. You have any idea? I mean, there was already a ton of Marvel stuff coming out in 2021. There's like, what? 4 Disney Plus series along with like 3 movies. Now it's going to be even longer, I think. Hold on. Let me bring up the list. 2021. So yeah, we got WandaVision, Loki, What If, and Hawkeye. That's 4 Disney Plus series on top of Shang-Chi, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man 3, and Thor: Love and Thunder. That's 8 MCU projects in 2021 alone. This is going to be the first time we've had 4 MCU movies in 1 year. I have no idea how they're going to spread that out. I mean, okay, let me try and like speculate here. Okay, well, Well, actually no. We kind of already have some idea because at Comic-Con they kind of gave like general release dates, kinda. But I think like generally speaking, see, like I don't know, like this is just completely off the top of my head. Shang-Chi February, Doctor Strange May, Spider-Man we already know is July, and Thor is gonna be November. That's just pure speculation. We have no idea if that's actually gonna be the case, but that's just an idea. And of course we have all the TV shows. Like 2021 is completely stuffed. Jesus, like 2020, like next year 2020, there's got like we have like 3 things. There's Black Widow and Eternals, and then there's the Falcon and Winter Soldier, and that's it. And then the year after that, we have 8 things. 8. 8 things, and then after then we're gonna have Phase 5. Oh man, actually, I just realized something. The newest shows, like the ones that were announced at D23, which of course is Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, and She-Hulk, they are a part of Phase 4, which is 2020 to 2021. And we already know that the first movie of Phase 5 is going to be Black Panther 2 in 2022. It has a date of May 6th, 2022. Or at least that's the earliest we know right now, because of course we don't know yet. That's the only one with an actual date, though. Are you telling me that they're going to seriously try and cram these 3 Disney Plus shows into 2021 again? No, don't. Make them a part of 2022. 2021 has plenty. I mean, more content is great, but like I don't think we need that many. Like we don't need like 8 TV shows and 4 movies in 1 year. That's just my opinion, of course. I don't know. I mean, because they're a part of Phase 4. They're considered a part of Phase 4. I'm looking on the MCU wiki right now, by the way, and there's a picture, you know, like the Phase 4, like the initial Phase 4 slate before the last 3 Disney Plus shows were announced. Yeah, Shang-Chi is February 12th, 2021. Doctor Strange is May 7th, 2021, and Thor: Love and Thunder is November 5th, 2021. So I got all 3 of those months correct without even looking. I'm being serious. I actually was not looking at that picture when I saw it. Okay then. I mean, then again, it kind of. I mean, if we have an actual date for Black Panther 2, then we kind of have to have a date for all the ones in Phase 4. But anyway, I'm dragging this out long enough. Point is, Phase 4 is going to be stuffed, especially in 2021. And Spider-Man's back, and crossover potential is definitely there. We're just going to have to kind of wait and see. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Hopefully this video is a lot shorter than the previous one I did. I'm going to try and keep these down to one topic, because the last one was like almost an hour long, and although I like doing like hour-plus long videos, I imagine that most of you guys don't want to listen to me for like an hour and a half. So I'm going to try and keep these down to around 30 minutes, and this is almost the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to end it right here. And besides, we've talked about everything we need to talk about, so I'm going to try and keep these videos to like one topic at a time so they don't become like really long. So yeah, anyways, this is Logan589XP. And I will see you guys next time.